Arkansas plays LSU, and we all learned something, and that something is Missouri is terrible. This is the Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Dana Price, that's Jacob Price, here to break down that LSU victory over your beloved Arkansas Razorbacks by a demoralizing score, an embarrassing score of 95-74. Yeah, that's my takeaway from this was like, man, Missouri's terrible because what in the world? Also, I think Missouri lost to Vanderbilt today. So yeah, I know they're terrible. So like all this, I got some hope built up. Like, hey, I don't know, man, look kind of good. We looked a little bit good. And then you're like, yeah, Missouri's like super trash. And and so like it's not you look at this game. I mean, we had some stuff in the Kentucky game that you felt good about too, but there was nothing to feel good about in this game, dude.
No, I mean, this is maybe, I mean, like we've said this a few times, but this game, I think more than any other game, there's just not very much to say as far as, um, there's the regression. Um, LSU is not that good of team. I mean,
They're they're
they're not bad.
they're middle SEC team
There's no shame in losing to LSU's team.
on the road.
There is shame in losing by 25. That
Yeah.
that is not a that is not a team. That's a team. I mean, you can lose to anyone in the SEC on the road anytime. You can really even lose by because 8, 10, maybe 13. You should not be being beat, and not like in a way. I know sometimes like maybe the game's close all the way down, and then they hit a couple of threes late, and you start fouling. They don't miss any free throws, and what should be a 5 point game, you end up in an 18 point loss. That's not what this was. This was a They were beating us down the whole game, and there was times, I think what was their biggest lead was almost 30. It might have been
Mhm.
30. It was certainly like 28 or 29. And they were really up by 20 plus 80% of the game.
Well,
And
here's
so
what if I told you this? What if I told you that the rebounding battle was going to be 30-31? Okay. And I told you that we were going to have 8 steals. They were going to have 5. And that we were going to turn the ball over 12 times. They were going to turn the ball over 11 times. Okay. That we were going to shoot 33 free throws. What other things here? We were going to shoot 43.6%. Not great, but not horrible. I'd be like, oh, we might have lost. Like, maybe we lose it. I don't know. Did we lose? Like, we probably lost. Like, maybe we lost a close one. I wouldn't have thought that we just got skull drug all across Baton Rouge with those numbers. And you know why we got that way? Because then you look at this stat, you're like, what did they shoot? Oh, 55% from the floor. Oh, what did they shoot from the 3 point line? 52.2%. They hit 12 of 23. And you're like, well, I see comments. People are like, sometimes teams just get hot. Sometimes the ball just goes in. Yeah, when the looks are super clean. What are you
mhm.
talking about, dude? Like
Well, I
that.
mean, I know what they mean as far as I do think, and
Dude,
I
you
felt
dude,
bad.
you let it sometimes you here's what I want you to say what you're gonna say. Yes, and sometimes you create the opportunity for that hotness by not initially taking stuff away. Like if you have a
Yeah,
great
but
shooter,
this
the
game,
last thing you want to see him do is like let him see the ball go through the hole, and like he might get on on a tear, and you can't stop him. You need to stop him from the jump. You can't let him get feeling himself like that. And we did not. I mean, they came and punched us right in the face in the first 6 minutes of this game.
yeah, and I actually that's part of the reason I think it's kind of a frustrating game, not just because they actually, I think if you go back and watch it, they it they didn't, with the exception of the first couple of times that big boy shot his threes, they looked like they were willing to let him shoot. But with the other exception of that, I felt kind of bad for the Hogs because they actually did start with great energy, and they
Mhm.
started with and like I'm very confused about what happened with Battle. because I actually thought Battle was, and I felt bad for him because he was putting forth a lot of effort, and it wasn't fouling. He was getting his
Yeah.
hands on balls, almost got some turnovers,
Plays 9 minutes.
and then, and even the things he was doing, none of them worked. Like he stole the jump ball, got blocked. He almost got that steal on like right after that, but didn't
Mhm.
quite get it. And then you know what I mean. Then he, I think he had a third one on like a possession later, and it still also didn't work out. It was like they were almost great defensive plays, and so I felt good about their enthusiasm. But they just LSU came out hot. I mean, I didn't feel like all of those 3-point looks were wide open. There
They
was a
weren't
lot of
they
guys
they
jumping
weren't
out,
they
and
weren't wide open, but we were just out of position and like it's a we struggle.
but they
It's
shot unusually well, is what I'm
for sure.
saying. In
No,
the
no,
unfortunately for the
have
Hogs,
we like switched roles here? What's happening here? Like what I'm saying is
I know you didn't just get onto me for interrupting you.
no. I'm saying
Oh,
like I'm supposed to be saying no, dude. Like and you're supposed to tell
oh.
me that we suck. Like no, what I'm saying is that like
I thought this game was just unfortunate, is what I'm saying. Is like
it
we,
was, but dude, we're always just like a little like to be good. Like all it takes is just being like a little late, a little out of position. And a lot of this stems from like we still struggle to keep the ball in front of us. And when you struggle to keep the ball in front of you, dude, like it's just hard. It's just hard.
I mean, I don't want to because I've been going at him a little bit, but I actually was the most disappointed, I think, in this game with Muss, and it might be misplaced, but I don't know what he's doing with his personnel. Like, I don't know why he's not starting Mitchell. I mean, why let a team score a couple of times before you're like, oh yeah, Graham's not physical enough to guard that guy. You know what I mean? I don't get it. And then
By
I
the way,
don't.
and I like, and I thought Graham's maybe my player of the game. Man, it's him or Mark. I thought Graham played good, but like instead of Graham and Lawson, why don't I try to, not, and I don't have anything against Lawson, but like, well, can we start Graham and Mitchell? Like you get like both, you get
That's
some
just
physicality, and Graham played good on offense. He really did. I thought he played really well, but he needs Mitchell down there with him.
well, and I just don't know. I don't get the game. Like you said, I mean, he can come off the bench and play 35 minutes, but I felt like they came out there with energy, but the thing that they lacked in the first 5 minutes is they couldn't score.
Hmm.
They actually didn't play terrible defense. You know, remember it was 2-0, and then it was like a couple of minutes went by, it was 2-2, then 2-4. Then that big guy started to hit some threes. And then by like the first couple of minutes, Mitchell wasn't in there, and we could not score the ball. And Mitchell really helps us move the ball and
Yeah,
set screens. And I don't get why you, I felt like I mean, what do I know? But you, with Mitchell in there, you have a better shot of not letting them build that lead on you.
yeah.
And I don't know what the point. I don't see the advantage to not starting him.
So you're saying, can we stop pretending that Makai Mitchell isn't the starting center? Like when you start Lawson, but Mitchell continually plays way more minutes.
And again, I don't know what I'm talking about. Perhaps Battle went and swore at the coach or told him to F off or did something that I didn't see. But I thought he started with effort. He didn't play great, but we're losing by 25.
Hmm.
We can't score. Like,
Yeah,
why would he not get thrown back in there? I don't get it. Um, and honestly, I I don't know exactly. Again, I'm talking out of my butt, but from what I was looking at, I don't understand him jawing at Mitchell when Mitchell intercepted a pass, and then we were struggling mightily to score in the half court, and Mitchell tries to outlet to the fastest player on the court, and he's got his head up his butt. I mean,
yeah,
and I don't mean that, but he's moving in the wrong direction. He wasn't on his toes. He wasn't expecting him to get that steal. But it wasn't a bad play by Mitchell.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, he threw it to where Menafield should have been going.
yeah,
And I would have been yelling at Menafield. I mean, I really wouldn't have been yelling at anybody, but if I anything, I would have been like, Menafield, like you should have seen the second you saw him about to get that steal, move, start taking off.
yeah,
And um the fact that you're going to yell at your player that's the only, not the only one, the most outstanding effort player that you've got for making a mistake like that, it's just to me, it seems unnecessarily demoralizing. And finally, I thought that tech was ridiculous for a head coach to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
That continue. First off, if you want to, if it's a game where you're getting hacked up and they're not calling anything, and then they're calling like, you know, charges on you on the other end and stuff like that, and you feel like it's really one sided, and then something like that happens, especially if it's in a close game, or especially if you feel like your guys are like kind of, they're like, say, you know, sometimes you have this thing where like you have a lead and then the other team's coming back, and then you realize your team's like kind of spinning their wheels and they kind of lost their energy. You get that tech to get them like fired back up. We actually were very in a, I mean, probably in something that wasn't going to end up being anything. LSU probably would have punched us in the gut and taken our momentum away. But we were actually grabbing a little momentum because, I mean, even though it's crazy to say, because it was a 17 point. Well, I think at the time it was a 19-point lead. And I think if he had made his free throws, it would have been a 17-point lead.
Yeah.
And instead, it stayed a 19-point lead. But that had actually come down from a 26-point lead.
Yeah.
We had
I
just
mean,
scored like
yeah.
6 points in a row. And
Muss is it's pretty. I mean, Muss is frustrated, of course. Like, I mean, I think that I mean, Muss will say all the right things and like, hey, we just got to keep getting better. That's the coach's job. We got to keep like trying to, you know, every game you're trying to win a game. And I agree, you're trying to win games. And even if you know the season is like done, you're still going out there and trying to compete. And every game is worth trying to win. But I think at this point, like you do also have to be like, all right, I got to look to the future. A bunch of these guys aren't going to be here. There's certain guys that you probably want to be here. Um, you don't want Blocker to hit the portal. I'd keep playing him. Like I'd get him ready
yeah,
for his sophomore season. He's a freshman. I think he's an important piece. I'd keep playing him, man. I mean, at this point in the season, well, I mean, why not, right? Roll him out there. Like I say, you don't want him going anywhere, so play him. You want to? I mean, Mark is another guy with eligibility. I don't know what he's going to do, but out of all the transfers that came in, he's the one. You know, obviously the one that you'd be like, I wouldn't mind if Mark came back.
mm-hmm.
And so play him. You know, and yeah, I think that you have to. You might use the second half of this SEC stretch to try to do some development. Dude, I might even roll Bay Fall out there more. You know, I mean, he doesn't play. I mean, like, what do you? I mean, Muss ain't gonna get fired or anything. Like, get out there and develop him. Like, see if he's got anything. See if you can get him. Get him 20 minutes a game. I mean,
It's hard to know with like what Muss knows behind, like, obviously I was thinking about this as I was watching it. I was like, man, this is going to be a bummer of a rest of the season. And it's hard to even know how hard, like, if it was like the old days where you knew like these guys are going to be here for the next 4 years, you'd go, when you had a bad team, you'd go, well, I still want to watch because I want to watch them develop. I want to see
mm,
if they improve. I want to see, so like I can know what to expect next year. And you can actually root for every time you're like, okay, this guy's growing. It's hard to, when you watch these games, you're like, I don't even know who I should care about necessarily. You know what I mean? I don't even know who, like, literally,
well,
I don't
I
know
would keep
who's going
and
to be here.
I would keep playing Menefield too. I mean, Menefield's only a sophomore. You know, like I would keep playing him. Um,
But what I was going to say is,
Battle's gone, Mitchell's gone, Graham's gone, Lawson's gone, Davenport's gone, Ellis is gone. Like, I'm not saying don't play those guys, but like I start like trying to figure out what you got with like some of these other guys that have eligibility left, and I would just use the second and see if you can get them. You know, figure out if you want them to stay. I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but like if you do,
it
like give
kind of
him
almost
minutes.
looks like he is doing that a little bit,
It
you
seems,
know?
yeah. I think so. I think with Blocker he is, and maybe with Benefield too. Like he's like, hey, like you got a place here. I don't want you to go anywhere. And and
Hmm.
and honestly, like Mark, Benefield, and Blocker, I would like if all three of those guys stayed. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
I tell
I
you this
know,
though,
I mean,
dude. I tell you this though, like obviously we got like a problem because like I mean you can point a lot at the offense. We scored 75 points, and maybe that's not like I mean that's not like a ton of points, but like there's been must teams where 75 points was more than enough.
mhm.
More than enough, dude. What you can't do is give up 95. I mean, like, why'd you lose? Did you lose because you scored 75, 74, whatever it was? What did we scored? 74? Yeah, we scored 74 points. Did you lose because you scored 74? Or did you lose? Like, because people are like, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, it's who scores more points. It's like, yeah, I mean, it is. But did you lose because you scored 74 because you gave up 95 points, dude? Like, you ain't gonna win no games giving up 95 points.
Well, and like I said, that's why in one way I felt bad for the Hawks because I felt like they did come out. I felt like they did come out sort of expecting and trying to win that game and do what we were hoping they would do, which is, maybe gather some momentum and get a couple of SEC wins in a row coming off the Missouri game. But um, they just, I mean, they shot 80% from the 3-point line in the first half or something, or at least for most of the first half. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They hit like 7 of their first 8 3-pointers. And the thing is, sometimes that's terrible D, but also sometimes like
Yeah.
we ran into that weird cluster where a
Yeah.
team hits a bunch of shots. And because, like I said, some of those, like, it seemed like I mean, there'd be a hand right on the ball, and I'd be like, surely he's going to miss that one. That was actually not bad
What
D.
is true is like statistically this year, like we like teams hit threes on us. Like if you look at like Ken Palm and you look at like where we rank in the SEC, it's right there in the cellar of like what team are you going to make threes on? And it's like us and two other people. Like that's who you're going to make threes on, you know.
That well,
And if
honestly, that
and you're right. Like sometimes you just get a game where you're like, God dang, dude, like you're not going to miss. But you know, when you're halfway through the SEC season and you're like, well, we're like way like down there, like second worst in the league at 3-point defense, then you start being like, I don't like, I don't. Is it just a coincidence that everyone hits threes on us? Like, probably not. Like, I mean,
no,
10 games in.
it's definitely that we can't stay in front of the ball, so we're always chasing,
Yeah,
and that's why. I mean, guys can't make the three they don't take, and they can't take the three if you're already there. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like the threes, even though we're out on them, the fact that we're always diving and we're never in the guy's breadbasket already when he catches,
yeah,
and you can't be in the guy's breadbasket when he catches if you're having to help because everybody is on their man's back hip. But I
yeah,
mean, it's gonna be, yeah, we can probably make this a relatively short one because there's just
yeah.
not a lot to say. There's not even really a lot to look forward to. I mean, like I said, that's if you're losing by 20 something to, I mean, guys, I know everybody knows it's a bad season, but it's a real bad season. Like if you look at Hogs seasons, it's it's unusual to lose
Yeah.
uh by 20 like
As many times.
four. I think we've lost by 20, 22, 26, and then to Auburn by like 32.
Yeah,
Last year, I actually looked it up, and last year, I think this is right. You can check me. I don't think we had a 20-point loss all last year. I think our biggest loss was to Tennessee by 18, who was ranked 20th at the time, and our next biggest one was 15 to the number one ranked Alabama, number one
yeah.
team in the country. Like we're getting
It,
beat
yeah,
by mediocre teams by
yeah,
20.
yeah, we weren't getting blown out. I mean, you know, we have a week off, so like we don't play again until Saturday. It's one of those things. We got Georgia at home. And then on Wednesday, you got to go. You got Tennessee at home, and you know Tennessee just like hung like a buck 05 on Kentucky. So I don't know, man. Um, and I think yeah, it's there. I mean, I'm not confident in our ability to beat anyone.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, like we beat Missouri. I think I just looked by the way. Yes, making sure I wasn't wrong. Vanderbilt did beat Missouri. Two teams with no SEC wins, and Vanderbilt got theirs. So you know, we beat what is the worst team in the SEC. That we beat them, and we beat Texas A&M after giving up a 20-point lead with a last second shot by Mark. It's not good, dude. It's just not. It's that's not good.
Mm-mm. Nope, certainly
And by the
not.
way, though, okay, let me talk to you. Like, if anyone's still listening, to the fans. One, I see the stuff. I see some stuff. on the socials. This idea that you'd be like wanting Musselman to get fired is ridiculous. Like just stop with that. Like that's the most that's ridiculous. Like
People are
not
asking for that.
yeah, I was oh yeah. Like I mean, I don't think it's like a huge segment, but it's like a loud minority, and you're like just dumb, dude. Just stop. Like just
It's not
stop.
that bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I mean, I can't even I mean, regardless, even if you might be right, if you
Yeah,
have
well,
a
you
theory,
just
if
got a short memory if you're just saying that kind of stuff. Like you better stop.
but even to steel man like that argument, you these people I'm sure would say he got lucked into a couple of tournament wins
Three
with
three
by like a
three teams in a row, 3 years in a row.
last second shots. Well, I mean, it's just
Yeah,
a lot of these seasons are like they turn on 1 or 2 points here or there in 1 or 2 games, and Musselman's been on the right side of a bunch of those so far. And if you are of the opinion that he's like not as good as his record or as his postseason has led, he's more like his regular season, which regular season is we're a we've been good, but
yeah,
not very good, and our postseasons have been great. If you're of that opinion, you still have to admit, like, there's just no feasible way for a guy that goes to the tournament 3 years in a row and makes it to the Elite Eight that you're going to let him have one bad season and fire. Like,
no,
that's insanity. And it would have to, in order for that to even be feasible, it would have to be way worse than this. It would have to be like every game we are losing by
yeah,
30.
yeah.
You know what I mean? There'd
Dude,
have to be
you might even be able to do that for a
we
year.
beat Purdue and Duke this year. I mean,
Yeah.
we lost to Kentucky by a couple of points. Like they're
Well,
not.
dude, you could lose every game this year, and you probably still like gonna give it. You're gonna roll it back out there just to check. I mean, you don't know what's going on. So, like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's preposterous. It was kind of a bummer. Like Danielle Musselman got on X or Twitter, whatever you're calling it, and asked people
Mhm.
to stop asking her eighth grade daughter Mariah questions about the basketball team if she knows what's going on and like harassing her on social media. Don't do that. But what do you like? That's not a good. They did. It's a bad look for your fan base. Don't do that. Like I don't need his wife telling you to stop like bugging their daughter. Like that's dumb. That's dumb. Don't do that. It's a bad look. It makes your fan base look. It's embarrassing. Don't do that. I think
Yeah,
you're in
well,
agreement with that. Don't do that crap, right?
yeah, I don't even understand the social media world.
You
Doesn't make
would,
any
but you
sense.
wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be like, oh wait, maybe I'll like get on Instagram and ask Mariah Musselman what's going on. What are you doing? They don't. That's like freaking weird, dude. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right. And I still think that Muss is the best coach that we've had since Nolan. I don't think it's close. I mean, right now it says it's not close. I mean, you guys
Yeah,
have
I
forgot. You guys
mean
have forgotten. You have forgotten. Your
the
memories
data
are too short.
the data is there that suggests that for sure.
Yeah. So, and it's yeah, and also if you're like, oh, lucky, you're like everywhere he's gone. Really? Is that what you think? Like, come
Mhm.
on, man. Like, it's
Yeah, and like I said, I've been critical of Muss this year, but I just think he's not. I just don't think it's a good year for him, and I
yeah,
mean that from I don't think some of his strategy has been the best, and I don't think he's emotionally connected with these players the
yeah.
best, and honestly,
If you're gonna, by the way,
it
that
could
might
literally
if you
be that
bring,
he's in a personal funk.
but
Like
also, dude, that's bound to happen every now and then if you're bringing in 6, 7 new guys. Like, I mean, how many times? Like, that's gonna. I mean, it's worked
but
more
I'm saying
times than it's not. But like,
even but even if
the,
like say he's struggling with something, just going through a midlife crisis or whatever, and he's not coaching in the same emotional way to be able to connect with players, like even that is okay as long as it doesn't become a permanent thing. I mean,
yeah,
have you ever had a bad year? I'm talking about like you
yeah.
haven't been the
I
same
have,
amount
I
of
have,
good person. You know what I mean?
I
I've had
have.
years where I mean, not the whole year, but I've definitely had better years than other years as a human being,
Yeah,
as a husband, as a father, as a friend. Like I've had years where I've been in a funk a larger percentage of that year than
yeah.
other years. And, I mean, it doesn't seem to
Are you saying
be.
that? Are you saying that's human?
Yeah, and to me, I mean, I'm not just saying that randomly. Of course, that's obvious. But Musselman seems a little off to me this year. Like but I'm not saying like he's changed and he's become a bad coach and he won't get out of it. Like, I don't know what's going on, but he's just not having a good time this year, so it's
Yeah.
not working.
Yeah.
But
Yep. All right, bro. Well, I think we'll
all
leave it
right,
there. We'll be back in a week to break down the game against Georgia. We'll see everyone then.
see you guys.